Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Drink with Crazy. What's going on, everybody? Oh, man. What's going on? Ugh. I got tired like 5 minutes before the stream. I was good, and I was like, oh, I gotta go stream. And then I was tired. I don't know how that works. What's going on, man? We got Rolando A. Ramirez. Just call me Insanely You. What's going on, man? Crazy Nation. Crazy Nation is a good one. I like that. That seems to sum up the way that the world is. Oh, man. So, one, how has everybody been doing this week? And two, what's new in the world of everything? I don't even know. So, tonight I pulled up a couple, two or three different stories and some videos into actually a new creator that I actually found through Asmongold. Very, very excited to show her off to you guys. She's such a wonderful human being, and I wanted to react to one of her videos because I just think that she, she has a very, very good nature about her. We're also going to talk about some heavy stuff, getting off. Basically, Roblox is protecting creeps. And it's everywhere. It's like everybody's covering it. And it's one of those things that like I wanted to cover too, because years and years ago, my kids actually played Roblox. And when my wife and I started seeing weird stuff on that game, we were like, and you guys are done. But there are a lot of parents out there that apparently don't know about that. So that's interesting. But all of that being said, welcome back to the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. It's awesome to see you. Oh my goodness, my wife just called. I missed the phone call. Goodness Lord. Let me message her. I just want to make sure she's good. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Well, I mean, not really sorry about it. My wife just called, and I just missed it. I was like, wait, what's that buzzing noise? I tried to leave my phone right in front of me, and I just missed it. Anyway, Roblox is not for kids at all. And the sad part is it was a game that was designed for kids, and it's not for kids anymore, and it's absolutely insane what it has changed into. So people were giving me crap, by the way, about having the Expedition 33 OST every stream, even though it's a baller OST. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to put on the OST for Ghost of Tsushima because I freaking love Ghost of Tsushima. So that will be soothing us through our videos and articles and whatnots. It's Brian Sanchez. What's going on, good sir? So okay, wonderful. Okay, she's safe, as long as she's safe. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's good to see everybody. I miss streaming. I realize I'm just tired lately. Wonder why. I used a lot of brain think at work lately. Need to stop the brain thing. Anyway, anything meant for kids is usually dangerous without proper supervision. Oh, it is. It is. And part of why I'm going to watch a video. I already watched it today, but I was busy and I didn't really listen to it. We're going to watch a video from Upper Echelon. And the Roblox thing has been going on for years. And the problem is that many parents don't know. We have actually had to talk with friends of ours that let their children play. And we're like, no, our kids don't play Roblox. And the parents are like, well, what do you mean? And we're like, look, there's a lot of creepers on there, and it doesn't seem to matter. And that's what's so insane to me is that you tell parents that this gaming culture, this culture over on this game, is absolutely terrible, and yet they do absolutely nothing to help keep their kids from it. It's freaking insane. It's absolutely insane. Let's get into this. All right, so Upper Echelon, if you guys are not subscribed to him, go subscribe to Upper Echelon. I really like a lot of his coverage of stuff. It's so funny because Upper Echelon catches a lot of crap for being a grifter, but the fact of the matter is he is one of the few people that I know on YouTube that actually tries to cover things from like both sides of the aisle, and he just tries to call out people when they're wrong. But if you happen to be politically one way versus politically another way, you might hate one video, and it's so insane to me that people are so wrapped up in stuff. But let's get into the Roblox Predator problem. And let me know how the audio is. I've been trying to adjust.
Social media is evolving. Gen X and boomers, they use Facebook primarily. Millennials, that's my generation if you're curious, we use Instagram, YouTube, maybe Twitter. Generation Z, that's all TikTok. But what about Gen Alpha, the youngest current generation?
Yeah.
Presumably, if I had to guess, although data's not exactly easy to get for this, which
I
is
believe
by design, presumably
all of my kids are actually Gen Alpha. I think, actually, no, my oldest, she is actually like the last year of Gen Z. But her 3 younger siblings are actually Gen Alpha.
they're using a collection of YouTube, TikTok, and Snapchat while lying about their age. What if I told you that the dominant platform for children ages 9 to 16 years old wasn't traditional social media at all? What if I told you it was a video game? Well, it is a video game, Roblox to be precise, which as of 2025...
When they allowed monetization for making content, that's when adults swooped in. Not a bad thing to want to make money, but it wasn't games for kids. Yeah, and that's the terrifying part too.
According to second quarter financials from the company themselves, has 111 million daily active players. Speaking to Bloomberg back in 20...
How's the audio, chat? Let me know. Do I need to go up? Do I need to go down? Does the video need to go up? Let me know.
2020, during the pandemic, Roblox stated that 2/3 of all United States children between the ages of 9 and 12, period, use the game, which is a figure that has only increased in the time since. Thanks to a subpoena issued by the Florida Attorney General's office, we can also see that 40% of the entire user base as of 2024, which totaled 85 million at the time, 40% of their user base are preteens, suggesting that here and now, 2025, something like 45 million Roblox players are children.
Have you seen Upper Echelon's Shadows video? It sounded like pure cope. And he was just brainstorming on how the game would succeed. Dude, I think there are a lot of... I don't think everybody is immune to cope. And I don't remember if I watched his AC videos. I will say this. There's a lot of stuff that Upper Echelon does that I'm like, I disagree with you here. But there's also a lot of stuff that he does that I'm like, oh, I do agree with you here. So I don't write him off as a creator simply because he's got some opinions that I don't agree with. That would be stupid. It's like I have plenty of friends that like I definitely have disagreements with on a lot of things, religion, politics, the whole nine, but it doesn't matter. Like you don't write off somebody who you think could be a good person in your life simply because you disagree about one topic or another. What's going on, Wrangler? How you doing, man?
That comes with a very unique set of problems. First, the platform relies on what's called UGC, or user-generated content, for most of what it provides, which makes the concept of moderation immediately difficult.
Yes.
Second, while age verification systems do exist in the game, they're isolated to whatever content is deliberately aimed at users 17 and older, which means they can be circumvented immediately and easily by pretty much everyone. Yeah. And third,
and here's the weird part. Why 17 and older? When everybody agrees that like adults are 18 and older, why 17 and older? I mean, I guess that follows like what, the ESRB, which I believe mature games can be purchased at 17 and older. Not from what I've seen, Rolando A. Ramirez. He's absolutely fought back against it. But anyway, I don't think he's afraid of being called racist or phobic at all. I've been watching the guy for years, and I don't get that impression at all.
Free to play. Of course, free to play doesn't mean it lacks predatory monetization. The internal currency system called Robux is rife with exploitation, psychological tricks, loot boxes, and more. But as a baseline experience, anyone in the world with a few strokes of a keyboard can make an account and jump into one of the many games that are served up in the central feed without any verification whatsoever. This is where I should probably explain better how the system actually works. Roblox is not a game in and of itself. It's an ecosystem. Instead of a game served up as a standalone experience, it's a platform creation system where tens of millions of
this was something that we thought was like really cool for the kids, because the kids like Minecraft and stuff like that, and the kids, you know, the kids were building their own worlds and so on and so forth. And even when our kids were allowed to play Roblox, and it was for like, I don't know, it was like 6 months. It was, and obviously our kids were never allowed to do any sort of chatting with anybody. That was just not a thing. We didn't allow, and we also have we make the one they play on consoles. But one thing that we noticed is that, man, that music gets really loud. But one thing that we noticed was that weird people were coming into our children's worlds that they were creating, and that was something that immediately put a stop to our kids playing Roblox. And I want parents out there to understand how dangerous this stuff is for your kids.
Different smaller games, with air quotes around that, many of them are just chat rooms, but games, I'll call them, have been created, which players can hop into and out of at will. Honestly, it's a very cool thing conceptually. Some of the games that they have are quite expansive, and I fully understand why it's popular in the first place. But when serving up easy access user-generated content for tens of millions of children, you start running into problems. You don't have to look very far or think very hard for that matter to figure out what those problems are. In 2021, Rolling Stone did an expose about how children were using the platform as a virtual strip club, earning Robux, which can then be exchanged under a certain set of criteria for actual money.
And the fact that, again, 2021, the fact that this has been going on since 2021, and parents don't monitor what their kids are. This is, I'm sorry, bad parents are the biggest problem the world has. If you, as a parent, are just plopping your kid in front of the game box or the TV or the internet or whatever, and not constantly monitoring what they're watching to make sure that what they're seeing and what they're being exposed to isn't like, I don't know, anti-fostering good stuff in them, you're a bad parent. And we constantly talk about things that we need to do to make sure that children are safe. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, we used to do public messaging systems back in the day, like, oh my goodness, like it's past this time. Do you know where your kids are? Because even back in like the 80s, we recognized that, oh, parents just don't really know. They don't care. We know plenty of parents in small town Iowa that are just absolutely oblivious to their children, have no idea who they are, what they do, what they're into, and so on. We know children who are very, very young who have already been exposed to adult content. Not because of video games or anything like that, but because the parents genuinely don't care. I mean, man, I really don't like getting government involved. And I really don't like saying this, but like, you get to a point in society where you're like, okay, these kids are seeing harmful stuff on the internet. They're engaging with harmful people on the internet. At some point, do we hold the parents legally liable? And I do not like that, because that is a weapon that can be easily used against good parents who just, you know, maybe a Karen over here doesn't like you, and so she makes a false claim against you. And actually, that has happened to us. That has happened to us twice. We had false claims made against us and had to deal with CPS. So I don't like the idea of thinking about, you know, hey, your kids are being exposed to harmful stuff on the internet and possibly talking to harmful people. Maybe we need to get the government involved, because I think that system can be too easily weaponized against people who are not doing those things. And it is a stressful process to go through that, dude. Like, if you've never been through that, I'm here to tell you right now, that is one of the most stressful processes I've ever gone through in my life. The potential of losing my kids simply because somebody doesn't like me is absolutely insane. It's crazy. And so, unfortunately, yes, if parents aren't present, then we just get more Save the Children laws that screw us up. Exactly. And that's what I want to avoid. I want to avoid the laws that are penalizing the rest of the world simply because we have bad parents. Penalize the parents. If there was a law right now that was like, hey, if your kid is getting groomed by somebody on the internet and they're underage, you as a parent are going to get charged. This problem would probably go away. But then again, these laws are written to where, I mean, negligence is already a thing. Parental negligence is already something that you can, or parental negligence, child endangerment, a bunch of this stuff. I mean, at what point, where do we stop? And I don't want the rest of the internet to be corralled into this place because it's, oh, save the children. But it's like, at some point, these parents, they're horrible. They're not good people. They're not actually being parents, and they need to be.
Indiana for a New Jersey man who had used the platform to groom a 15-year-old girl, after which he transported her across state lines. He convinced the girl that her family was the enemy, and it's a horrifying depiction of events in that indictment. But what isn't made clear in the document is that this man was an extremely prominent creator in the Roblox community. Multiple other lawsuits, allegations, and arrests have surfaced over.
I remember when that came out. That was absolutely heartbreaking to hear about, and that's also a reason. Before we let our kids play video games, my wife does a fantastic job of going in and she researches, like, are there problems? Are there creeps? Are there whatever? It's why our children are not allowed on voice chat. The only time our kids are allowed on voice chat is when they are playing a game with their mother, and my wife gives them the phone and allows them to access Discord through her phone in the same chat that she is in. And only the people that my wife and I trust can be in those voice chats. They are not allowed to voice chat with people when we're not there. They're not allowed to talk with people when we're not there. But I thought that was normal parenting. Apparently, I'm wrong. Apparently, normal parenting is just letting your kids go and talk to creeps online while you do God knows what in the other room. Sitting on your fat ass, eating Cheetos, watching TV instead of monitoring what your kids are on. It's such an insane thing for me to think that parents are like this.
For the years, many of them. But the most recent is a new lawsuit from the family of a 13-year-old girl this time, who says that she was groomed and kidnapped as a result of gross negligence by the company, notably featuring this paragraph about why the situation is so dire. Quote, "The reason for Roblox's..."
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Mage Leader, yeah, what you're doing in the other room, none of my business, for sure. But if you have kids and they're talking with the creep online, maybe whatever you're doing in the other room, whatever that is, shouldn't be happening. Maybe you should be paying attention to your children.
Unlawful
conduct. And I don't think you actually have kids, Mage Leader, if I'm not mistaken. Do you have kids? I don't actually remember.
Is simple.
I'm making kids in the other room. Well, okay.
Roblox prioritizes user growth over child safety.
It's all right. We lost that one. We'll make more. It's fine. It's fine.
As one former Roblox employee explained in describing the company's approach to child safety, you have to make a decision, right? You can keep your players safe, but then it would be less of them on the platform. Or you can just let them do what they want to do, and then the numbers all look good and investors will be happy. Roblox's prioritization of growth over the safety of children has devastated the lives of children who use its app, including plaintiff. And
profits over the safety of the children.
Quote, "That is a very incendiary claim, especially when leveled at a multi-billion-dollar corporation that serves tens of millions of children per day. But it's also not the first time. According to Hindenburg Research, which is an activist investment research firm that focuses on short selling and is most famous for exposing the Nikola fraud, where a company had faked their progress on building electronic trucks. According to Hindenburg Research, not only does Roblox fake their engagement metrics, but they also create, quote, a hellscape for kids."
Holy shit.
Many of the claims in this report are extremely graphic, by the way, but the situation at that point was only just getting started. Now, in the interest of fairness, I want to take a minute and talk about what Roblox is doing for content moderation, because they are doing something. One of their most notable policies.
Okay, so, and this is where, because I've listened to quite a few content creators talk about this. I've listened to whatever. What they're doing for content moderation is not enough. And obviously it's not enough because there are members of the Roblox community who are going, this is bad. Some of them who were victims themselves of this stuff decided it's not enough. We need to do something because Roblox is obviously not doing enough. So yes, in fairness, they're doing something. The something that they're doing is not enough.
Is called Sentinel, which is platform-wide, and it's full scan AI surveillance, right? That's the best way to describe it. Every message that is ever sent on their service is reviewed by this program, allegedly, which is something I'll come back to later on. But we also know, thanks to leaked internal documents posted by a disgruntled hacker in 2022, who I believe attempted to extort the company, but failed to do so, we also know that they have all sorts of internal criteria for what gets moderated and how. Most interesting to me is their keyword/phrase database with all sorts of different severity rankings for things like keep this a secret from your family or wish you were younger, which indicates to me that the idea of them deliberately ignoring this kind of grooming for the sake of inflating user metrics doesn't really have teeth to it. However, just because they have moderation policies doesn't mean that those policies are sufficient. And this is where we come to a bit of a crossroads. If you scroll social media right now, the overwhelming consensus, and there is a bit of a mob at the moment, is that Roblox is infested with inappropriate content and fails to moderate the platform properly. Depending on who you ask, it's anything from mildly concerning to flat out rage-worthy. So for the sake of a complete video,
as a father of 4, an upper echelon, I don't think that you have kids. I don't, because I've watched you for a lot of years. Yeah, it is fucking rage-worthy. They're out there trying to lure children away from their families and touch kids. That's rage-worthy. That's why the rest of the internet is in an uproar about wondering what the fuck is going on with the Epstein files. So yes, when children are involved, this is rage-worthy. It's not mildly concerning. It's rage-worthy. It's Dr. Psychonomics. It's wood chipper worthy. No, you're 100% right. Get Chippy out. Chippy hungry and we need to feed him.
I decided, why don't I just go check for myself? Truth be told, I wasn't even expecting much, okay? I figured the prevalence of these issues would be wildly exaggerated for the sake of content and views by other YouTubers, and that I could maybe have a few small examples fairly easily for the sake of the video. But what I found was just completely insane. This is the tricky part. Since so much of this player base is under the age of 13, and because of how much of this content was consistently taking place, I don't have the patience or honestly the editing capabilities to censor each username, overhead message, and feed.
Because they're twisted individuals, Mage Leader. They're not on the internet, they're in real life. And it's like, okay, so you say, I don't understand why it's so hard for people to leave kids alone. Replace that with, I don't understand why it's so hard for people to not be criminals. Because criminals are going to be criminals. And these people are just a different brand of criminals. Mike had bad knees over on Kick. Sorry, what's going on, man? Oh, dude. We're getting into the whole Roblox thing right now. It's wild. Go! If you guys want to go hang out over on Kick with Mike Has Bad Knees, definitely go do that as well.
Feed message individually as it moves across the screen. That combined with the fact that there are people with custom character skins to resemble giant, naked, hairy men chasing smaller avatars around constantly, or the rest of the issues that I would have to censor for the sake of YouTube's community guidelines, on top of the necessary safety precautions for whatever child accounts are present here, everything combined, I'm just going to censor the whole screen. Over the years, I've done a few similar types of videos, namely about TikTok, Google Photos, and other social media platforms. Some of them with quite a high number of views and about rather disgusting groups of people.
When you actually look up the statistical data of like reform, people are like, no, we need to reform. We need to reform the PDF files. We need to. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And the problem is, and what's so terrifying about this, again, as a father of 4 who has been paying attention to this stuff for years now because I want to protect my kids, the people that get caught almost never get caught on their first attempt. It is a statistical anomaly for these sickos to get caught on their first attempt, which means that there are multiple children who have already interacted with these people.
So I hope I've built enough credibility to be able to do this. But for right now, you as the audience have a pretty simple choice. You can either trust what I'm telling you or you don't. That's it. If you don't want to trust me, that's fine, skip ahead. But if you are interested in trusting what I say, I spent roughly 9 minutes visiting 3 separate Roblox games, okay? Not even very much. Meep City, because people describe that as one of the more problematic ones on social media, which has 3.4 million votes, 16.2 billion visits, and is described as minimal content maturity on their page. Therapy, which has 95,000 votes, 152 million visits, and is described as moderate content maturity. And then Bilberry City, 117,000 votes, 257 million plays, and all of these with thousands of concurrent players at the time. Just to be clear, I did not initially choose the more obvious ones, okay? Like Femboy Simulator, which is on the trending tab, by the way.
That's insane.
And it's all about just pumping yourself full of as much
Wait, they're trending this?
estrogen as possible, despite being categorized as minimal content maturity.
Holy
I spent
fuck.
less than 10 minutes, and during that time, I saw models designed to look like giant naked men, as I said. I witnessed people of unknown ages moving their communications off-platform, which is a TOS violation. I saw invitations for sexual roleplay. I witnessed sexual roleplay directly unfolding in the offices of the therapy game. I saw a detailed discussion of drugs, slang which I didn't even fully understand but felt like coded language, which I am familiar with, unfortunately, and people routinely opening the discussion with how old they are or suggesting let's have fun or go have fun as soon as someone else did. I don't know what percentage of all that is actionable.
6, that is insane. I just read your message. Oh my goodness. I don't even know if I want to read that out on... Oh my god.
By Roblox as a company, but the idea that 40% or more of their user base is under the age of 13 is shocking. And when it comes to controversy, this is before we even get to the worst part. Because of these issues, which I would describe as demonstrably rampant, Roblox has a sort of community moderation effort taking place, where groups of users will attempt to find the most troubling offenders, groomers or predators, I mean, and take them down independently. These groups operate in such a way where they also monetize their social media content in a variety of ways and gain high viewership as a result. So it's a little bit complicated.
Remember Disney's Toontown? They had no chat function except basic emotes. That's all kids' game needs. Yeah, I can see that. And then the number 1 repeat offenders is near 100%. That Mike has bad knees. Yeah, over on Kick Chat, dude. No, you're right. You're right. You're 100% right, dude. It's terrifying, man. And again, as a dad, this is the crap that like my wife and I have to worry about and have to deal with. And we've been trying to tell people about this game in our lives for years now, and finally, it's hitting the mainstream, and I hope that it hits mainstream news sources, and I hope that some of these parents that we know wake up and go, oh my God.
Going to the fact that they have a financial incentive behind finding bad actors in the first place, as well as making the videos even more salacious if possible. But that's a bit of an assault on their credibility, so I won't go that far. I'm just saying it's a complicated situation, all right? But I think the most important thing to consider is that this behavior isn't born from nothing. These community groups only exist because of the rampant problem. And in response to that, Roblox decided to ban the community members trying to help. Not just that, they also issued a cease and desist letter. Any YouTuber covering this kind of stuff over the years has become intimately familiar with what those are and how they work, right? Myself included. They issued a cease and desist letter to a YouTuber named
So you have community members who are aware of this problem, trying to help with this problem, and actually the people that they banned. So I was, I've been listening to quite a bit of this over the last few days. The guy that they banned basically recognized, so it actually happened to him when he was younger. He was 15, 16, something like that. Got groomed, bad things, not fun. He decides he is going to make it his life's mission to make this game safer because he loves the game. He thinks Roblox is fun. Supposedly he met his girlfriend there. I cannot remember his internet name. But over the last year, he has, with a group of others, gotten 6 people arrested. So they actually contacted law enforcement. They did what they needed to do. They didn't go out. They didn't meet them in public. It was all online. It was online conversations in chats and stuff like that. And they reported it to law enforcement, and 6 people have been arrested. And I think 4 of them are being convicted as of right now, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that. You'd have to go look into this. Yeah, exactly. Mike has bad knees. Yes.
Lep, who participates in and helps organize these kinds of efforts, stating that he should immediately cease, quote, engaging in simulated child endangerment conversations, sharing or soliciting personally identifiable information, and directing users to move conversations off platform, end quote. This move immediately caused backlash, especially considering the fact that there are severe and consistent violations of their policies, which appear to go unpunished, as documented by the community.
Yeah, because, again, it is very, very evident that they just want their player base. They want to look good to investors. They don't give 2 fucks about protecting children. And so they are banning the people who are trying to help. And I heard, was it Moist Critical or somebody else I was watching? I've watched a ton of videos about this. Be like, why didn't you hire these people who are helping find the predators? Roblox should have said, wow, you're working with law enforcement. You're actually doing something to help get these predators. Maybe we should hire you. Fact of the matter is, Roblox doesn't want it. I would imagine. Not only that, one of the Roblox, one of the people that actually worked at Roblox was found and convicted of this stuff a few years ago. I think Roblox wants it.
For years. But even if I hate to admit this, even if I think that Roblox is failing in every conceivable
Look at how much revenue Roblox has pulled in the last year. Oh, yeah.
Effective moderation of dangerous users. They don't really have a choice right now for the cease and desist. After the initial letter was sent, probably because of the backlash, they issued a substantial update, providing much more detail on why they took this particular action. And in that update, we start to understand that the type of vigilante content that was taking place is wildly dangerous for everyone involved. On the most basic fundamental level, okay, normal players banding together all over to try and weed out predators feels like a really good thing. And it is. But let me pitch you a scenario. What happens when these people start attempting to physically meet, which they routinely do?
Okay, so this is not a good thing, and I will agree with upper echelon here. However, in the most prominent story right now that's going on around this, the people who are helping to catch the predators are 1, not meeting in person, 2, only doing stuff online, and then turning the evidence into law enforcement after they tried going to Roblox themselves to report it. And it was not until, like, videos went live that Roblox actually went and started banning accounts. Okay? So no, if you're doing something like this, first of all, make sure you understand you need to gather evidence for law enforcement. Turn that into law enforcement. They can do their investigations. Do not go try to meet people in the streets. That could be a dangerous situation, not only for yourself, but any bystander around. I don't know if you know this. We live in the US of A, and somebody might be carrying a gat, and you never know how spicy that could get.
Do. What happens when they go somewhere thinking that they're about to get millions of YouTube views and confront a predator and get all the clout, and the person that they're meeting is armed and unstable? What happens at any point in the process when material is transmitted between parties which violates federal law by mere possession, which is something that absolutely takes place and is even a go-to tactic?
And that's something that you should never do. Ever. Never transmit information or receive information. Or I will say this, if for some reason, God forbid, you receive information that is illegal by federal law, and we know what we're talking about here, CP, you need to report that immediately. Immediately. I mean, within seconds, you need to be contacting the FBI and saying, I thought this person was a creep online. Turns out they're sending me this stuff. Here's the information. I will turn over everything to you.
By the worst predators out there to begin insulating themselves. Most of you watching this have no way to know this, but after a couple of the more hard-hitting videos that I did on these types of subjects a few years ago, I had a couple phone calls with the FBI, someone working with the ICAC task force, and learned a whole lot more about just how dangerous all of this is. For the people on social media catching predators, right? That content goes viral. It gets millions upon millions of views and all the accolades and financial motivation in tow. But for the actual content creators doing it, it is dangerous. For the companies that own the platforms where it happens, in this case, it's Roblox, it is a massive liability. And if we're thinking about the entire situation rationally, there really is no other way that this was going to go down. A multi-billion-dollar company cannot allow regular everyday people to impersonate children and then physically meet predators in the world using their platform as the communication base for that. Listen.
I disagree with him here. I mean, again, I don't think you need to be meeting them physically. But concerned citizens, if all you have to do is send a few chats back and forth and you go, oh, wow, this guy is a predator, I'm turning this over to law enforcement, I don't see how that's a bad thing. Again, don't go out in public. Don't meet these people physically. Don't get into a physical altercation. All of that is bad. But if you have the ability of taking screenshots by simply engaging in a conversation to prove that these people are in fact the creeps that they are, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't go into the physical world and do it. Don't transmit information that you should not be doing to try and trap somebody. No, just simple dialogue, simple text. When if you are concerned, you turn it over to law enforcement. You have to.
Listen to me when I say this.
I think it's a concern with entrapment. The FBI can do it, but your average citizen does not have those protections. Entrapment, so the laws around entrapment are specifically around law enforcement as far as I know. You as a private citizen cannot entrap somebody.
Right now, okay? One of these YouTubers that's going viral for doing this type of stuff, they're gonna wind up dead one of these days, okay? It will happen. And the platform where that took place, they can't afford to be liable, which means they must get rid of it. As in the multi-million view YouTube channels openly talking about it online and bragging, as soon as they become aware, they're gone. Just to be crystal clear, okay, before people freak out, none of this is to defend Roblox. I think they're doing a horribly, bafflingly incomplete and incompetent job at moderating their platform. Hence the reason these people feel compelled to do this in the first place.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that apparently Schlepp actually has been pursuing them in multiple ways.
Yes.
Attempting to make them aware of these problems well beforehand.
Schlepp
even
is his
emailing
name.
them binders of material. And far beyond simply making the videos for the clout and the money. It looks like he's really doing his due diligence. But even with that said, think about this rationally. They're already facing multiple negligence lawsuits. What do we think the outcome would be if they know that there's YouTubers using their game and then physically meeting people from that game?
Okay, again, the physically meeting people, don't do it. Get them online, get them in messages, so on and so forth. Don't go physically meet people. You're already talking with the person online. There's no reason to go physically meet them. No reason. And again, there are people that want to do it for clout and all that stuff. And I'm sorry, if you go do something for clout and you end up, you know, on a sidewalk and You're twitching. That's on you. Don't go engage in this stuff physically. Don't do that. Like, I'm sorry, the amount of fights, the real world fights that end with somebody's head smacking against a sidewalk and they never get up again is real. You may think you're doing a good thing, but you need to do these good things with a rational mind, and you need to do them correctly.
But they choose to let that keep happening with all their internal memos and emails that showcase the fact that they're fully aware, which would come out in basic discovery, and then someone dies. As much as I or anyone else may dislike the outcome of their decision, that decision isn't going to change, and it isn't surprising. And what should change, however, is the fact that they've apparently implemented restrictions now against people who protest that decision. I don't know the veracity of this claim, and it does come from someone who has previously been the subject of a lawsuit by Roblox as well, himself, in which he said and did a whole bunch of things that he definitively should not have said or done, and then settled with them, paying $150,000 in the process, which is somewhat strange to me because the guy pointedly claimed, quote, "I get to keep my channel and social media and I haven't paid Roblox any money," end quote, which, I mean, the document's right here, although I suppose it could have been amended. As per this, he had a judgment against him for $150,000. But anyway, Roblox has a history with this guy, so take that for what you will. However, if it's true that they're restricting the usage of keywords and terms about the whole debacle entirely, that's an extra step of corporate fuck up, like my God.
Yeah.
But there is good news, okay? People always ask for good news on these topics, so here it is. Because of the publicity that's taken place, Congressman Ro Khanna has apparently reached out to Schlepp and another YouTuber named Creekcraft to help in some capacity. I mean, probably just...
A Democrat is reaching out to try to get this issue solved. Can we get some fucking Republicans out there to work on this stuff? That'd be great.
Garnering signatures for his, petition, but in some capacity, hopefully more, with the failings of Roblox, which is an escalation of proper channels where things can actually be done about this, lasting things. Maybe not even as a direct result of this congressman alone.
I'm sorry. I mean, if the congressman sees a problem and he's actually going to work to solve it, I mean, how can you be like mad at a guy who's like, yeah, this is a problem. I don't care Republican or Democrat at all. This is good. Yeah, they're going to ask for more laws. You know what? We need to have citizens and parents actually paying attention to this shit. If you don't want the government to take over your life, then you need to take over your life. You need to be the responsible party, because the reason that laws get passed is because people are so irresponsible with their life and they take no responsibility that the government feels like they have to. So yeah, you know what? It sucks that laws are gonna get passed and it's going to restrict everybody. But it's because people were not governing themselves.
But the simple fact that there are legislators looking at it sincerely puts pressure on Roblox to amplify their current moderation efforts, which are currently, obviously, insufficient. I can't say what will happen, but to be brutally honest with you, I can easily tell you what should happen. What should happen is that Roblox implements a platform-wide policy where anyone below the age of 18 has no chat. They get static choices of dialogue from a tree, and that's it. They have no freeform communication. Anyone over the age of 18 has to verify ID to classify their account that way, which they already do for 17 plus. And the rest of these kids just eat the fact that this game is a children's product. It's a liability for tens of millions of families and multiple industries. And sometimes you really...
Absolutely. No chat in children's games. No chat in children's games. And that, honestly, to be, as much as I hate Nintendo and cannot stand them, Nintendo had it right. They didn't have a chat. And Nintendo flat out said it was for children's safety. Children don't need to be chatting. They need to play the game. Even if it's Mario Kart Online, doesn't matter. You just play the game. You don't need to chat. Nintendo had it right.
Just need a sacrificial lamb. I'll expand on that because a lot of people, it probably just goes right over their head and they're about to freak out. Roblox is the type of platform and the kind of situation that gets used to justify draconian or suppressive internet laws in the future. Roblox is what agencies and governing bodies can easily point to and say, look how bad that is. We need to make sure anyone using social media and widespread other websites verifies their ID for us to track and protect the kids. But once you understand that lightning rod examples like this are often used to erroneously expand invasive authority, suddenly it gets easier to just bite the bullet and nuke one platform to save the rest. The real answer to this entire situation is to make anyone under the age of 18 have scripted communication only and verify the ID of anyone who wants their account to be 18 plus on the platform. For the rest, boom. Problem solved. The Roblox kiddies and the Roblox YouTubers would cry about it, sure, but the rest of the entire world would be exponentially better off as a result.
And to be perfectly honest, I mean, it should probably happen for other games too. Because we know for a fact that other chat lobbies this happens in. Even games that we might like to play as adults. Even games that are rated M for mature. How many of you guys were playing M for mature games when you were kids because your parents were like, hey, like, don't be dumb? I mean, my parents sat down and talked with me about, I remember my dad having a conversation with me about playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And my dad was like, you understand that all that stuff's fake, right? And I was like, of course it is. He's like, cool. You're never going to do any of that stuff in real life, right? I'm like, well, yeah, obviously I wouldn't. And it's like, cool. And my dad is like, because if you for some reason think that you're going to go out and do any of that stuff that you see in a video game, he said, I have no problems serving prison time for taking my kid out because I would rather, and this is my dad. My dad was like, I would rather see my child in the ground than watch them go through that life. And having future conversations with my dad, it's because my dad lived a certain life that he didn't want us to. And he meant it.
That's it. The predator problem on Roblox is a corporate failure to devote adequate resources in the proper locations, which you can easily see, by the way, in the fact that their infrastructure / trust and safety costs have remained basically static for the past few years, despite incredible growth metrics in their player base. They're not expanding trust and safety along with that at all. But at the end of the day, multi-billion-dollar corporations are an incredibly difficult thing to fight against. Roblox, TikTok, YouTube, Google, you get the idea. Best of luck to Schlep. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below, a special VPN deal, locals and Patreon.
I absolutely think this issue needs to blow up a lot more. I'm glad that it's finally getting covered because my wife and I have been trying to tell parents that we know about this issue for years. So the Roblox issue is something that needs to absolutely get out there. If you guys know parents who are letting their children play Roblox, find your favorite content creator who's doing videos about it and share that with them. Show them. Find the lawsuits. Find this stuff out there. Please, for the love of God, do what you can to protect these kids because their parents obviously aren't. And as we've said, this entire problem stems from bad parents. Oof, hearing a dad say that would definitely stick with you forever. Yeah, no, a lot of the stuff that my dad said that was serious stuck with me for a long time. Einbrecht, what's going on? No, I made sure my sisters do not allow their children to play online games. Good for you, man, good. Greg from Side Scrollers is beating the drum at least. That's thousands of people hearing this. Asmongold is talking about it. Tectone is talking about it. Moist Critical is talking about it. Upper Echelon is talking about it. Other content creators that they're covering is talking about it. Millions of people are seeing this right now. Millions. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. All I can pray for and hope for is that more parents restrict access to these games. Like I said, first time my wife and I saw something creepy on it, pulled back, like, nope. Because our kids did play this game for a little bit of time. Mike has bad knees. Are the right people seeing it, though? Parents need to see it. That's the right people. And from the YouTube metrics that I know, probably a good portion of those people are probably parents. Because of the age range. I hope. I don't know. I hope. I very, very, very much hope so. In other news, I want to check out this video because this is a content creator that I am newly familiar with. And honestly, she makes absolutely fantastic points. And, well, let's just go over to the background NPC and hear what she has to say about getting characters back that, well, we should just have more of. And if you guys haven't checked out the background NPC, totally should. Actually, you know what? I will just share this video down below before we get to this. But I'm telling you right now, she's awesome. A very, 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 very sweet individual. And I may actually mute the music while we watch her video. So let's go over here and do that. We're going to mute the Ghost of Tsushima soundtrack. All right. Can we get more characters like this?
Sitting with this video for a few weeks now, ever since I finished Clair Obscur. You know how sometimes a character really sticks with you, like they just hit you in a way that you weren't expecting? Well, that's exactly what happened to me with Gustav, and thinking about the type of character he is, the type of man that he is, made me also think about Jin Sakai.
She's so sweet. She is like bubbly sweet. It's ridiculous. The internet does not deserve a person that's this sweet. It just, no. We don't deserve a person like this. I've seen a few of her videos at this point.
Guy from Ghost of Tsushima. And then from there, I got thinking about Wonder from Shadow of the Colossus. Now, you might be wondering what an engineer, a samurai, and a tragic monster hunter all have in common. Well, that's kind of what I'd like to talk about today. Each of these men demonstrate in their own way what happens when unconditional sacrifice out of love forces you to become someone you may have never thought you'd be. Sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's necessary, and sometimes it's a bit terrifying. Similar to my Arthur Morgan video, this one is gonna be a little different. We're gonna go a bit deeper, and fair warning, there will definitely be spoilers for all three games. So if you haven't played through them and you wanna go in blind, maybe save this one for later. All right.
A man can only read the farms for so long before he passes that information on to others. This is what your kids are up against online. Keep them offline. Yeah. But most, sad to say, dude, most parents don't care.
Let's dive in and kick things off with the man that sparked the idea for this whole video. For those who come after. 5 words that define Gustav's entire existence. 5 words that, by the end of Clair Obscur, feel like both a blessing and a curse. Now, I basically had 0 expectations going into this game, and I absolutely did not expect to meet a character like Gustav, but I just have to talk about him because his story is such a good representation of what it means to sacrifice everything you are for what.
Not gonna lie, when Gustav did the scene where he was just like, oh, I'm out, I don't want to do this no more, I was like, oh, he's a bitch. And then he was not a bitch. And I appreciate that. That was awesome.
Others need you to become. Gustav isn't a character who just so happens to care about people. Being useful to others, serving others, caring for others is who Gustav.
If you guys see me over here fiddling. I spilled beer on my keyboard and trying to figure out how to get the beer not on the keyboard. I am paying attention, though. I swear I'm paying attention.
Gustav is down to his very core. He's willing to give up his own dreams, his own future, his own safety to live up to that calling. To touch on his design for just a minute, it points you to exactly this idea. His design is intentional. His design is attractive. It pulls you in and it makes you want to know more about him and his world. His prosthetic arm is not some sleek.
Of course he's attractive. He's played by Charlie Cox, which is Daredevil. I'm not saying that against her. I'm just saying Charlie Cox that's a good looking man. I'm gonna be real with you guys. Like, flip it, drink whatever spills out. I don't. Oh no, I touched buttons. All right, we're gonna call that good. The beer is off of the keyboard. But yeah, Gustav, Charlie Cox, Daredevil, good looking dude.
Is intentional. His design is...
I would not be gay for Charlie Cox. No, absolutely not. I remember that question back in the day, though. People were like, "Oh, like, is there a male actor you would be gay for?" And I'm like, I don't. Maybe Jensen Ackles from Supernatural. Maybe. But I don't think I'm his type.
Attractive. It pulls you in and it makes you want to know more about him and his world. His prosthetic arm is not some sleek sci-fi steampunk thing that just looks cool. It's heavy, clunky, mechanical, and clearly built from spare parts. It creates this immediate curiosity about who he is and why he does the things that he does. And his arm ties perfectly into his overcharge mechanic. He builds up power slowly, then releases everything he has when his team needs it the most. When he lost his arm, he literally...
She said releases.
Designed part of himself to be more useful, even if it might not have been the most convenient solution. That's just who Gustav is. His clothes are practical and worn,
So,
even his...
What she is referring to here is... because I remember watching part of this video the other day and I never finished it. But I believe what she is alluding to here is a sense of stoicism in men, because she specifically is calling out certain male characters in video games that we don't seem to get a lot anymore. And I believe she's referring to the stoicism that men have, and that need to be a protector.
His face looks weathered, like someone who has spent years hunched over blueprints, building
Does she go into spoilers? She said in the beginning of the video she's going to go into spoilers, but I mean, as of right now, I haven't really heard anything.
options, doing everything they can to help and contribute to those around them, sacrificing comfort for purpose. But it goes deeper than just his tools or his techniques. Watch Gustav write in his journal throughout Act 1. Every entry, every innovation, every hard-earned lesson, it's all being documented for apprentices he may never see again. For people he may never meet, he's pouring his life's work into pages, not caring about...
And this is a very good point that she's making, is Gustav in Expedition 33, very much, at least in the game that, or at least in the point in time that the game takes place that we saw, Gustav very much lived his life for other people and wanted to document what he could for other people, for his apprentices, for his adopted sister, daughter, Mael. He was her caretaker, but he wanted to do what he was doing. Mike has bad knees. Tell us more about how you love... I'm not saying that. Fuck you, Mike has bad knees. But no, but it is the idea of men wanting to take the knowledge that they have and pass it on to future generations. And that is something that is so well written in Expedition 33.
recognition or credit so that others can benefit. He's building a legacy of knowledge that will outlive him and go on to impact generations to come. His studies, his inventions, and innovations, this is where Gustav's story really begins, way before any of the devastating events of the game. And what's interesting is that he has spent so many years preparing for those who come after as more of an abstract concept. Future generations, apprentices, the greater good.
Again, men living their lives for future generations. That is something, and I've heard people try to say that Expedition 33 is woke, and I'm sorry, those people are objectively retarded. Because you have in the male characters that you do have more female characters in the game, but in the male characters that you have in the game, they actually display masculine traits, fatherly traits, brotherly traits, comforting traits, protective traits. And it's wild to see a game come out that actually shows what real masculinity is. We've heard toxic masculinity for a decade and a half now. This game shows off what actual masculinity is in a way that I've not seen in a game in a long time. And it shows off multiple versions of it too.
Giving up personal relationships and individual dreams for this higher purpose. But he's never really considered what might happen when those who come after are suddenly right in front of him. What happens when they have a face, a laugh, a heartbeat you hear when you hug them? That's exactly what we get to see as the game begins. Enter Mael and Sophie, the people who make those who come after deeply personal for Gustav. Mael isn't his biological sister, but she might as well be. She's his living legacy, and as you play the game, you see that she's the embodiment of everything his philosophy actually means. And then...
So, context here, he is actually like, he's her like legal guardian, right? She's an orphan. Her parents got Thanos snapped away. Mael's an orphan. Gustav is the legal guardian, but treats her like a sister. Treats her kind of like a, I don't know, somewhere in between like a daughter and a sister. Like however that relationship would work, right? Like you're still responsible for this person, but also you want to make sure that they, you know, you're leveling with them. Interesting relationship.
There's Sophie. Sophie is the romantic love he found despite his devotion to duty. And when you go beyond the surface of their relationship, you find an even deeper layer of what she represents. Gustav is so future-focused, so wanting to build a better world for others, so sure that things can and will change
And that's what men should be. Men should be future-focused. It's not about how hard today is. It's not about how hard tomorrow is or how hard our life has been up to this point. It's about what can we do to make sure that we take care of the future generations.
Has zero reservations when it comes to having children. His mindset is so innately focused on building a better world for those around him and those who come after.
Accepting the challenge and still going.
Sophie
Absolutely.
disagrees, and they end their relationship. But their opposing views give us another window into just how much Gustav cares for others. It's almost like it's not even coming from decisions. It's just who he is at his core. He's a man who knows that his purpose is to serve. Both relationships show the same pattern. Genuine.
She's too sweet. She's so sweet for the internet. Internet, if you attack this woman, if you go after her for opinions, we should burn the internet down.
Deep love and a weight of responsibility for others that never leaves his shoulders. And you can see the tension this builds as the story begins, because up until this point, it seems like Gustav has mostly thought of those who come after as people he'd never meet. But with Mael and Sophie, that's beginning to change. They are right here, right now, and he would give up everything to protect them. Then everything in his world begins to crumble. The prologue ends with Sophie's death from the Gamache, and I was just totally...
That scene was hard. So if you guys play Expedition 33, I'm going to tell you what I told my buddy. The developers do a very, very good job of telling you what they're going to do and then making you as the player ask, please don't do what you're... I see what you're going to do, game. Don't do it. Please don't do it, game. And then they do it. And then you feel things. I don't like that. I mean, I love this game. Stop making me feel shit. Okay? I'm a dude. I'm not supposed to feel shit, which is... We'll get into that later. This game does such a good job at being like, we're going to do this thing. You're going to care about this character. We're going to do this thing. And you go, please, 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 just let the character, it's fine, it's fine. Just let the character, they're going to live a happy life. Just do this thing. And they're like, no, we told you what we were going to do. And you're like, oh no. And that's how this game is. If you guys have not, Expedition 33 should be Game of the Year, period.
Speechless at this point. I mean, that has to be one of the top 5 best game intros of all time. And the game, gosh, doesn't even give you or Gustav any time to process it. The mission continues. He throws himself into facing the Paintress, doing everything he can to make Sophie's death mean something and to protect Mael. But then the mission goes catastrophically wrong. Most of his team dies, and Gustav wakes up in Spring Meadows, stumbling through a field of bodies. The man who has spent his entire life serving and sacrificing for others is surrounded by failure. And he has this moment where it seems like it was all for nothing, and everything just seems so meaningless.
This is the moment
I feel like this was such a relatable moment. I mean, we've all been there, right? Working so hard for something that suddenly feels like it was all for nothing. Like it all gets ripped away one way or another in an instant. For Gustav, he decides that there's no point in continuing. This great engineer, this man who has always had a solution.
I absolutely hated this scene. And when I saw this scene, I was like, wow, what a beta. Context matters. I was wrong here. I get it. I get it. And context matters.
Wants to give up. Because when everything you've sacrificed your life for proves inadequate to protect the people that you love the most, what's left? Thankfully, as her name might suggest, Lune finds him and pulls him out of the shadows. And in that moment of absolute despair, Gustav finds something to hold on to, seeking out Mael. When the circumstances demand that they move forward, he puts aside his feelings and makes the choice to let go of the mission and find his sister. Even though we know that he's deeply loyal to the mission, his love and care for others shines through. And once again, he shows us the level of sacrifice and service he's willing to go to.
And what's so wonderful about her video right now is her talking about the positivity of the actual masculine characteristics that fathers and brothers and men all over the world do every single day. But we've been told for over a decade that men are just toxic. We're not worth anything. All we are is evil. And she is here proudly exclaiming the positivity and what actual men are like. Not boys, not children, not sociopaths, men. What we do. What we do for those that we care about. If it is within my power, I will move the earth itself for my wife and children. And that's something that she is highlighting here so well that I wanted to watch this video with all of you, because there are others out there that are recognizing it. They don't have to use the political language. They don't have to dive into the culture war side of things. They can just talk about the positive attributes that they're seeing in a way that just says, hey, this person good. And it's awesome to see.
For those close to him. This is just another way he puts "for those who come after" into action. Even when it's not about humanity in general, but about one specific person. He is ready and willing to give all of who he is. His final stand against Renoir was honestly devastating. He knows that he won't survive, but he does it anyway to give Maëlle and the group time to escape, sacrificing his future so she can have one. And when he dies protecting her, his prosthetic powers down for the last time. All that engineering, all that preparation, he spends his final moments on the person who mattered most. His core beliefs never changed, but Maëlle teaches him that those who come after aren't just concepts in a journal or unseen generations to come. They are the real people all around you, the family and loved ones that you'd sacrifice everything for. And as a side note here with Gustav's story, I just want to say that I really appreciated that the game didn't just replace him with one of the existing female characters. Even though I loved all of them and they were all unique and special in their own ways, I was honestly so happy to see Verso get introduced. We get yet another strong and complex male character to lead the story, something that has gotten so rare in some of our Western games, and he was just as dynamic, just as valuable to the story, and it felt like such a respectful way to handle the transition. But while Gustav's story...
Admittedly, they did a really good job with that. They really, really did. If you guys haven't played Expedition 33, you're missing out. You just are.
Is about discovering what your principles mean when they become personal. Jin Sakai's story is about what happens when your principles and your love for people are at war, and what you're willing to sacrifice when love wins. I won't lie, when Ghost of Tsushima was first announced, the weeb in me was reignited, and
Okay, so Ghost of Tsushima, so she's basically talking about two of my favorite games of all time right now. Expedition 33 took over my favorite game of all time, which was Ghost of Tsushima. And we go, really, Ghost of Tsushima? Shut up. Ghost of Tsushima is a man not just fighting for his family. He is fighting for his entire nation. He's fighting for his people. And in the time period that Jin Sakai lived, to do the things that he did, to sacrifice his honor, he knew he would be throwing himself in front of the wrath of the shogun. And he sacrificed his life, his fortune, his family name, his honor, and everything to save his people. Not his wife, not his people. And the entire game plays with the idea of how far can you go from what your family expects of you to what you need to do to get the job done. And that's why I love Ghost of Tsushima as much as I do. If you guys haven't played that game, you need to play it.
I went into the game expecting gorgeous Japanese landscapes and really cool katana fights. Yes, I did get both of those things and more, but what I did not expect was to watch someone sacrifice everything that made them who they were, one impossible choice at a time.
Yep.
Jin Sakai starts as the perfect samurai. Honor above all. Fight with dignity. Follow the code even when your enemies don't. These weren't simply rules to live by, they were his entire moral compass, the foundation of everything he had built his identity on. And who taught him all of this? His uncle, Lord Shimura. After Jin lost his parents, his uncle became everything to him. Father, teacher, the last family he had.
Well, I
so
believe
when
they
Jin
were
follows the
signing the
samurai
adoption
code, he's not just following
game.
tradition, he's honoring the man who saved him, raised him, and adopted him as his own. This dynamic is what makes the story and his character so impactful. What Jin goes through is so heartbreaking. The entire game, we witness this constant war inside him that completely rips him apart. When the Mongols invade and start massacring his people, Jin and the samurai fight honorably. Changing tactics isn't even a thought at first, but as he sees more and more that their traditions are not working, he's forced to start admitting that everything Lord Shimura taught him might be wrong, at least for the reality that he's currently facing. And that's such a difficult thing to face.
Well, okay, clarification here. She's not entirely wrong. It was more that their battle tactics. It wasn't that everything that Lord Shimura had taught him was wrong. It was that the battle tactics, the way that a samurai engages in battle is up front with their enemy in front of them. You face them. You don't do the sneaky ninja shit that effectively you do throughout the game, as Jin does. And he has to come to the reality that in order to save his people, he has to violate that samurai code of honor, that battle, what you're supposed to do. You take the sword in front of him. You the guy sees you, you see him, you fight him, and that didn't exactly work out well. And the best way to get rid of these guys was to be sneaky, to hide, to attack from the shadows. I think the game wants you to see the uncle as wrong, but doesn't demonstrate it properly. I think that you're wrong. I think that you're 100% wrong. I think that the game wants you to see the dichotomy between the two characters. Okay, but I'm not, though, so there. Well, I'm not wrong either, then, Mage Leader.
Especially when you're talking about the person who's essentially responsible for your entire life. For Jin, it means potentially sacrificing his relationship with the only family he has left. I remember the first time that I made Jin use poison. You can almost hear it in his voice, see the conflict on his face, because good men don't fight that way, right? At least that's what his uncle taught him. Jin doesn't start fighting dirty because he stops caring about honor. He does it because saving his home and his people become more important than following the traditions and rules. Every poison dart, every stealth attack,
and that right there, she nails it.
Every tactic his uncle would hate. You can...
It doesn't help that outside of scripted moments, you can play the whole game honorably. You're wrong. Well, no, not really. I mean, they gave you the you could either do the samurai thing or the sneaky thing. But again, there are levels that you have to go through. Well, so maybe they are scripted. I view the whole game as kind of scripted. But there are levels you have to go through where you actually have to sneak through. Like outside of some scripted moments, you could play the whole game honorably. I mean, kind of. Yeah, you can. Yeah, my buddy did that too. There were scenes that my buddy didn't get until he was like way further through the game than I was. But the idea of the game forces you to use stealth in scripted missions. I mean, everything in the game is scripted. But I'm also weird and I see it differently than a lot of people. But yeah, no. So the idea that they gave you the freedom to kind of play how you wanted to, and that's a negative on the game, doesn't jive with me. like, I mean, I've put over 200 hours into Ghost of Tsushima in multiple playthroughs, and also played the online multiplayer. And I just don't see your gripe here. But then they don't acknowledge when you do. They give you the option for honor, and then they don't acknowledge when you do. What? Yeah. You do understand that the game was telling a story, right? Like, they give you the option to do the samurai fighting style versus the ninja fighting style. But when the cutscenes happen, it treats you like you've been backstabbing the whole time. No, it doesn't. Certain things will happen at certain times. Also, they have to drop in certain things to get the story to advance. So what you're saying is that the story that they wanted to tell should be absolutely removed. Like, they gave you a play style, but they also had a story that they wanted to tell, so they had to balance those two things. Now, if you're saying it wasn't quite balanced correctly, I can understand that. I mean, is that all you're trying to say?
See it eating away at him inside because he knows that he's sacrificing.
They wanted a ninja game, they should have made a ninja game. Oh, and I'm going to say that you're retarded. Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. No, I'm going to say you're retarded. I'm sorry. They wanted a game showing the dichotomy of a man trying to save his people and having to portray the things that he does. And so in order to do that, they did have to script some missions, apparently. No, not fuck off with that. No. You're just wrong, dude. That's like looking at a book author and be like, well, but you wrote this story and made me think that it was a certain way. And then in this next chapter, you totally just, no, dude. Dude, that's retarded. What? No. They didn't want a ninja game. They wanted a fun, engaging game that told a story of a man who was fighting between what he needed to do and what he was raised to believe he should have done. Now, you can argue that they didn't balance that correctly. That's fine. But they didn't want to make a ninja game. Duh. Well, we can have it out on Discord. You're in the Discord. We can go talk about it there. I'll voice chat with you. I don't give a shit. No, dude. I'm sorry. Don't get salty over Ghost of Tsushima. Come on, man.
In pieces of who.
But yeah, you being in the chat, me being live, definitely a little bit of an imbalance for the conversation.
Who he thought he was. But through all of this transformation, through all of these choices that chip away at everything Lord Shimura taught him, Jin never stops loving his uncle. He's able to separate the person from the ideals and beliefs, and that's such a powerful thing. He's able to look past his uncle's way of life and still see him with love as a person, as a human, as his family. Lord Shimura isn't just a sum of what he might think or believe, he's Jin's flesh and blood, and Jin never loses sight of that throughout the entire game. But as he becomes someone that his father figure would consider wholly dishonorable, Jin resolves himself to sacrifice Lord Shimura's approval and respect for the greater good. Every choice to fight from the shadows doesn't feel like breaking tradition. It feels like betraying the person who raised him, sacrificing that sacred relationship for his people's survival. And every tactic that dishonors the code feels like a stab in the heart that has been loved by his uncle for years and years. The thing about Jin's transformation is that it's not about becoming evil or him losing his moral compass. It's about discovering that sometimes love demands that you sacrifice the very things that make you, you. His love for the people of Tsushima, his need to protect them, becomes more important than his relationship.
And this is what I was saying earlier, is that he actually has to sacrifice himself as a human being in order to save his people. He has to sacrifice the things that he was raised to believe in order to make sure that the children of Tsushima have a future. And that's one of the things that I saw in this game that I thought was just really freaking powerful, is that you're laying your life on the line. You're laying your public image on the line. And especially in the day and age of social media, how many people want to lay their public image on the line?
With the code, and eventually more important than his relationship with the man who taught him that code. He's willing to sacrifice his identity, his honor, his family bonds, everything that defined him, to save people who might never even know his name. As the game comes to a close, Jin saves Tsushima, but he becomes someone his uncle, his father, considers fundamentally immoral and shameful, someone who has been sentenced to death by the shogun. And when he finally faces Lord Shimura in that final duel, it's yet another moment that is just so devastating, because there's no happy ending here for either of them. Lord Shimura genuinely believes to his core that duty trumps all, including his own family, and the love that he has for his nephew. And he forces Jin's hand, who has no...
The people might deserve a hero, but they need a monster. Kind of, yeah. In a way, yes. I mean, warfare, and this is something that we've realized as time has gone on, fighting honorably in warfare usually gets you dead. And as time has gone on, we've realized, instead of standing 10 feet away and pointing a musket and being like, we're going to stand 10 feet away and point muskets and whoever wins, wins. No, it's like, yeah, we're going to hide in the fucking trees and take pot shots, which is what that's what we did in the revolution. It's part of the reason that England was so mad at us. They're like, you're fighting us like cowards. You're not standing there in front of us. It's like, yeah, okay, but if I stand in front of you, I could die. If I hide behind the tree and take a pot shot, guess what? I live.
Choice but to defend himself. In the end, Jin sacrifices everything. His life as a samurai, his family, his place in the world, even his name. The game ends with him all alone, and that loneliness isn't just about being by himself. It's about the price that he paid for choosing his people over his principles, his love for them over his loyalty to duty. He gave up everything that made him who he was so that others could live free. And I can't really talk about Jin and Ghost of Tsushima without at least acknowledging the elephant in the room. I just don't understand. Why do we need to take an already established character from a very successful game and essentially replace them with a random girl boss protagonist that nobody knows or cares about? Why? Everyone loves Jin and would love to see more.
That is a massive fucking concern. How girl boss is she gonna be? Is she gonna be a girl boss?
More of him. So why are we replacing him? And then why are we replacing him with a woman in the Edo period of Japan? For me, Ghost of Yotei just looks like a reskinned version of the first game that has made the bold and brave decision to give us a female lead.
The more I see of it, yeah. I was willing to give him, and I had been trying to give them the benefit of the doubt since the release, but I'll agree. Yeah, the more I see of the game, the more I'm just like, it's just a reskinned girl boss. I mean, I don't play games with female leads anyway. That's just not my jive. I don't. But I was like, Ghost of Tsushima, one of my favorite games of all time. I was willing to give it a chance. Ghost of Yotei does not look like it's going to measure up. It just doesn't. And part of that has to, like, if you're going to swap out to a female lead, like, your storytelling needs to be up top. And then not only that, but they also had people from BioWare that worked on they worked on Anthem, they worked on or in the early, very early stages of Dragon Age the Veilguard, back when it was actually called Dragon Age Dreadwolf. And that other game that BioWare did that absolutely failed. And so that concerns me as well.
Instead of just continuing Jin's story and basically guaranteeing the success of the game. I don't know. But to get back on track, Jin's love led him to sacrifice his identity and ultimately showed that protecting others was what was most important. So what happens when love stops being about sacrifice for others and becomes about your inability to let go? That's where the tragedy of Wonder comes in. I was definitely late to Shadow of the Colossus, okay? I actually didn't play it until the PS4 remake, but when I finally got to experience Wonder's story, it quickly became one of my favorite games of all time. From the first moments, everything feels off. The music, the atmosphere, how your horse moves through the empty world, it all gives this really eerie feeling that what you're about to experience might not be exactly what you're expecting. That maybe you might not be the traditional hero. Our protagonist, Wonder, either doesn't notice or doesn't care. Mono, his lifeless maiden, is gone, and bringing her back is all that matters. He's already decided that he'll do whatever it takes, that he's willing to sacrifice everything. It's interesting that the game never even tells us why Mono died. Some sort of cursed fate is all we get, and I think that's intentional, because to Wonder, the details don't matter. She is dead, and he'll sacrifice anything to get her back. His morality, his humanity, his soul, if he needs to. Wander is just this young, completely broken man, and when you see him holding Mono's body in that opening scene, you can just see that he's not accepting reality. His love for her is so complete that he's willing to give up everything else. Everything that makes him human, just for the chance to hold her again. That's when we meet Dorman, an ancient entity that tells him he can bring Mono back by killing the Colossi. Wander doesn't hesitate, and he agrees to sacrifice these ancient, peaceful beings without question. The game sets it all up perfectly, and we, as the players, want to help this grieving man bring back the woman that he loves. But here is what makes Wander's sacrifice so tragic. Everything he goes through, all the Colossi he kills, it is such a one-sided experience that is clearly biased towards his views and goals. He doesn't know anything about these giants just existing in their own land, just that he has to go and kill them. It's not because he's cruel, it's almost like they're not even real to him. There's this weird separation or disconnect between Wander and the actions that he's taking, and the game frames it all so well with the atmosphere, the setting, the sound design. Mono is the only thing that is real to Wander. His grief has made him blind to everything else. These creatures could be beautiful, ancient, magnificent, but none of it really matters. They're not Mono, so
it doesn't matter.
They don't count.
I want to get my girl back.
He is willing to sacrifice their lives, their beauty,
that's a hard thing to be in.
All for one person that he can't.
That level of grief is really hard to be in. The willingness to do anything to bring something back is an intoxicating, and by intoxicating, I mean intoxicating, the definition of the word. The way that it changes your perception of reality, the way that it alters how you think. Fuck, I need to play this game.
Live without. The first Colossus is this massive, peaceful creature just existing in the empty world. It's beautiful, ancient, alone. When Wander climbs onto it and starts killing it, there's no hesitation, no recognition of what he's destroying. Just cold determination, because he's already decided that this creature's life is worth less than Mono's. With each kill, Wander physically transforms. He gets paler, sickly, his clothes become more tattered, his hair gets darker, horns start to grow. But the game never shows his reaction to any of these changes. Again, there is this thick separation and disconnection from everything. There's no mirror scenes, no horrified realizations. Either he doesn't notice what's happening to him, or he doesn't care. It's just him and his mission, and his love for Mono has consumed everything. He is sacrificing his very—
And this is the point at which you would say you cannot give in to grief in that way.
humanity piece by piece, and none of it matters to him as long as she can return. The final Colossus is this massive lumbering giant that, to be honest, was actually pretty hard for me to beat. Wonder chases it down, he climbs up its body while it tries to shake him off, and through it all, he never stops, never questions, never hesitates. He is willing to sacrifice this giant's life, just like all the others. And finally, when the game ends, we have
Well, I mean, of course he was. He was told he's going to get his girl back if he destroys all the Colossi.
to watch this awful scene of Wander being physically dragged away from Mono's body. The thing, the person, the love that he has been so focused on the entire time. He is ripped away from her and pulled into this vortex. Dorman, now released, keeps his promise. Mono lives. But Wander becomes some kind of infant creature, sacrificed
Oh, no.
and transformed beyond recognition. His refusal to let go cost him everything. His humanity, his horse, Agro, and ultimately his ability to even be there for the person he sacrificed everything to bring back. He gave up his soul to save her and lost the ability to love her in return. I still don't really know how I feel about the ending of this game. These three characters definitely do not make an exhaustive list of sacrificial or impactful protagonists, but they have really stayed with me because they each show a very different side of sacrificial love. Gustav gave up his life for Mael because she represented everything he'd worked towards. His legacy made real. He sacrificed his future, his dreams, his safety, everything that he'd built, because protecting her mattered more than protecting himself. Jin abandoned his honor and lost his family because protecting his people mattered more than preserving his identity. He sacrificed everything that made him who he was, his name, his relationships, his place in the world.
What's going
others
on,
could be
Anna?
free. Wander got what he wanted, but at the cost of everything that would have made it meaningful. He sacrificed his humanity, his morality, even his ability to be with Mono, all because he couldn't let go. These games work so well because you end up building genuine relationships with these characters who feel real, even in impossible worlds. And when you care that deeply, their sacrifices hit so much harder. That's why the loss of Goat Stav and the lack of Jin in the sequel aren't things that you can just forget about. We need more characters like these three men. Please give us more characters like this. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for being here. And if you've played through these games, please let me know in the comments if these characters hit you just as hard or if there's another character who impacted you in a similar way. I would love to hear about it. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, again, I'm going to say this again. She is way too sweet for the internet. Internet, you cherish this creator forever. I'm going to share that video down below. No, and again, what I love so much that she talked about is men being men, doing what we need to do to protect those that we love and make sure that we put everything on the line for the things that are the most important to us. Now, in the last example, it was a man being so driven by grief, he was willing to potentially do something terrible. But you cannot discount the resolve that men have over the things in their lives. And I agree with her. More male characters like this in video games are absolutely necessary. So, with all of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we made it to the end of the stream. Because I have things that I have to go take care of. Men are such romantics. They can be. They can be romantics. Maybe. Sometimes. But if you guys have not played those games or checked out the background NPC, you should do that. Have a great night, everybody. Have a good night. I need to go talk with Mage Leader on Discord. He got mad at me because I disagreed with him about Ghost of Tsushima. I also called him retarded. I also call lots of people retarded, so that's just, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here tonight. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I am tired. Why am I so tired lately? God bless everybody. Have a great night. Thank you all so much for being here. And as always, until next time. Cheers, everybody.